Welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I am Luke Owen, and this is Wrestling News. Naturally, the day after a top WWE PLE, much of the chatter will be regarding the stars involved on the card. And while we do have plenty of that to come, our top story today instead begins with someone that was not only not on the WrestleMania Backlash card, but really just Backlash card, but has also been absent from TVs since WrestleMania, just WrestleMania, the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre. McIntyre's future has been quite the topic of discussion since just before WrestleMania, where it was being reported that not only was Drew unhappy with his WWE creative, but also neither he nor WWE were close to agreeing terms on a new deal. A deal that was reportedly set to be expiring this year. Or that's what we thought, as a new report from Fightful Select has revealed that Drew's WWE contract actually expires in early 2024, well before WrestleMania. Now, it was being reported by numerous outlets that, according to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, that there was a good chance that McIntyre was leaning towards leaving WWE. However, Meltzer refuted this on Twitter, saying his original comments on Drew's contract situation were misconstrued. Fightful Select agree in their report, saying the more accurate account of the situation is he doesn't know if he's staying or going, though they add that McIntyre is operating under the possibility that next year's Mania would be his last. Fightful also add that if McIntyre and WWE cannot agree terms on a new deal, that McIntyre would be willing to explore his options elsewhere, but also leave the door open to return to WWE in the future. So, great, there's no real actual update on that current situation, but there is something else within this report. And get ready to work Sundays, folks, because there's heat, brother. Fightful also back up reports on McIntyre's health being a potential factor in his recent absence, noting that he's been working banged up and injured heading into Mania. However, in spite of all of his health struggles, the real point of contention seems to be McIntyre's creative, as well as the company's communication with him. Fightful notes that there have been several situations of perceived miscommunication between the two parties across the last several years. A recent major example of this was McIntyre's recent drafting to Monday Night Raw, something he was reportedly not told about ahead of time. That, however, is not exclusive to him, as it's been previously reported and stated that very few wrestlers were told ahead of time where they would end up after the draft. But as for the creative side, the report notes that there have been tentative plans made for McIntyre to return to TV as a heel. However, those involved expect pushback on this idea by Drew in order to make sure that the changes make sense. WWE making sense? There's a fun one for you. The reasoning behind this is that Drew is said to be very hands-on with his creative and supposedly doesn't like making drastic changes unless it creatively makes sense, which, is fair enough, to be honest. Lastly, in regards to McIntyre's contract, the report notes that many in WWE aren't quite sure how WWE's sale to Endeavor will affect their deals, with it already becoming apparent that, at least while the sale is in the works, WWE aren't overly keen on breaking out the checkbook. Unless you're Logan Paul, of course. Now, as promised, let's dive into that Backlash show, hey, because what a crowd, especially for that main event of Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest, am I right? What about that closing shot of Bunny being hoisted up by the LWO with a Puerto Rican flag? Just a glorious way to end the show when the crowd was at their happiest. Sorry, what? You're talking and putting me off. What's that? That wasn't the main event of the show. Are you sure? There was an hour left? Yes, while on paper, Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar screams main event more than Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest, the nod was expected to be given to the pair of Puerto Rican natives because they're both Puerto Rican, and the show was in Puerto Rico. Bunny also got one of the biggest pops on Friday SmackDown, which is what prompted a heavy push online by fans to see Priest versus Bunny get the top billing. As it turns out, we got the best of both worlds, as both matches were given a double main event status, despite one of the matches going third from the top, with Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Matt Riddle versus the Bloodline six-man tag being the cool-down match. Imagine that. A Bloodline match was used as a cool-down match between the other main events. They were the Divas in 2008. And according to Fightful Select, there actually was a discussion backstage over which match would be the true main event of the night, noting that there was a lot of back and forth over the call. So what would you have chosen to be the main event of Backlash? Why don't you let me know in the comments down below? And if you say anything other than Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest, you're frankly just wrong. But while it may not have been the actual main event, Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest certainly went down well. And not just with fans at home and obviously the fans in attendance who went absolutely bonkers for it, but those behind the scenes. According to Fightful Select, the response to the match from WWE was that they were extremely happy with the match. And this was backed up by Worked Wrestling on Twitter, who posted, in case it wasn't apparent, Bad Bunny's Backlash match absolutely exceeded expectations backstage, with many superstars lined up at Gorilla to celebrate with him. There's hopes backstage in using him in some form for SummerSlam. Along with Logan Paul, the standard for celebrity wrestling matches has certainly gone up a few notches in recent years. They're both a pretty far cry from the days of David Arquette as WCW champion or Jenna Maraska in TNA, minus 5 stars and all that. It's a great match. Bunny might have also had a hand in the sales of LWO t-shirts, as Fightful added in their report that an insane number of the Puerto Rican LWO design were available for sale, and going by the crowd, they sold. With the conflict between LWO and Judgment Day dominating much of Backlash, it seems that the members of both groups decided to get some matching ink to commemorate the occasion. As captured by WWE's cameras and posted on their Twitter, Santos Escobar, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, Zelina Vega, and Rey Mysterio all got matching LWO logo tattoos ahead of the special night in Puerto Rico. However, not to be outdone, in response, Judgment Day members Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic Mysterio got special designs with the initials of both Judgment Day and Puerto Rico. Unfortunately, massive buzzkill Finn Balor turned down the invite to prove that he most certainly isn't a true Judgment Day ride or die. Boo that man. Wait, are you saying boo or Finn Balor? Speaking of ink, and notably inked up fella Malachi Black would have a significant amount of invested interest in Backlash, despite obviously working for the enemy in AEW. Now, if only there was a book where I could read more about the business war of WWE and AEW. Despite, perhaps predictably, falling short, no pun intended, in her pursuit for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Vega would receive a truly heartwarming reaction from her home country crowd. Something that Black, the husband of Vega, reacted to on Twitter with a very proud message saying, "Your moment in the sun, win or loss, your moment." AEW's Dustin Rhodes also shared his thoughts on his brother and ex-AEW star and EVP Cody Rhodes' match with Brock Lesnar. Now, Dustin has been quite vocal about Cody's failure to finish the story at WrestleMania, saying that he believes that it was the right choice for him to lose to Roman Reigns, which also is categorically wrong. And following Cody surviving Brock Lesnar last night, he tweeted his support of Cody's achievement while also imploring him to finish the fudging story. "If you're big star bound, it's a long, hard ride. Huge victory. Now at Cody Rhodes, finish the story." Now, in order for Cody to finish that story, he'll need to face off against Roman Reigns for the Blue Universal Championship or win the tournament for the other belt. I don't know what the story is anymore, but we'll have to wait patiently to find out, as the two are now on separate brands. Although, according to Natalya, that doesn't matter. She says she can be on both shows, despite being drafted to Raw. Let's also not forget that a SmackDown star could win the Raw exclusive world title, and SmackDown Women's Champion is on Raw, and the Raw Women's Champion is on SmackDown. And don't get me started on the tag championships, because it doesn't make any goddamn. Despite Solo Sikoa being a gnat's dick away from jamming his thumb into Jey Uso's windpipe at Backlash, the Bloodline do live to see another day, apart from, the cracks showing in the group, etc., etc. Do you know what? Maybe it's time that we add a new member into this group to freshen up the story. The most notable non-WWE active Anoa'i wrestler is MLW's Jacob Fatu, who's been a cornerstone of the promotion since debuting in early 2019. Despite seeming like a no-brainer for a WWE move, Fatu has yet to be picked up by the company. However, as revealed by MLW's Court Bauer on Busted Open Radio, WWE did in fact have an opportunity to sign Fatu on several occasions, turned it down. Bauer revealed that Fatu has had 3 or 4 tryouts at the WWE PC, yet they didn't sign him. Despite WWE not picking Fatu up, Bauer would reveal that he still has all the love for his family and what they're doing in WWE. However, he is enjoying his time in MLW. Bauer then implored his fans to stop fancy booking Fatu's move to WWE and instead support the company that gave him his start, saying the machine there in WWE didn't get it, didn't see it. So support where he is and where he is thriving. But that's all from the news today. Go and watch Ollie Davis's review of WWE Backlash.
Had one of the most fun matches of the year, and Cody's adversity is an awful lot like that time John Cena did the same story. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. Quiet adversity, you're not following your own booking mission. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is my review of WWE Backlash 2023. Subscribe.